Hey guys, welcome back to another fabulous episode of Tea Time with Ayek. We don't always drink tea, but honey, we spill tea, and today we are not drinking anything, we are just spilling everything. So, let's do a quick little flashback. Let's just do a flashback. I think he had a perception about me, so he lied about what he did for a living. And he would lie about like little things like, oh, he lived on the mainland, and he's like, oh, I don't take the bus from the mainland to the island. Guys, I missed some parts. Okay, I didn't miss some parts. I withheld some aspects of MM's story in particular. But then a few things have been happening recently, not to me personally, but on social media. And then I also was just reflecting on my life in general. So it's a combination of those two things. And I said, you know what? I need to spill the tea on how to avoid Lagos sweet boys, also known as Lagos baby boys, all of the above, how to avoid them all. First and foremost, let's go through a little story time. Let's talk about everything I missed the first time I spoke about MM. Now, the first interaction I had with MM was not even romantic, it was work related. And that was when he told me the thing about he takes Ubers and Taxifies from the mainland to the island, from the island to the mainland, like he does not take the bus too far distance, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I don't know, was that, looking back on it, I think that was supposed to impress me. I thought it was weird, but whatever. Found out more about him, found out that he lived with his mom or his family. Found out he was one of basically the only person in his family that wasn't necessarily doing anything productive, because, and by productive I mean he didn't have clients like that. So yeah, it was a hobby for him, but he made it seem like it was his job. But then he would just say and do a lot of weird things that indicated to me that this guy truly is a baby boy. He doesn't even qualify as a sweet boy, he qualifies as a baby boy. So I would go on his WhatsApp status and he would post things like, yes, my new baby is here. And his new baby was Alexis. I mean, it was a dark brown hand touching the wheel of Alexis. It could have been anyone's hand, and apparently it was his. Now, he would post that on his WhatsApp status, and I guess he would forget that we had each other's numbers on WhatsApp. So he would post that he got a new car, and then in the chat, we'd be talking about other stuff, and he wouldn't mention it. Now, that was kind of weird, but I was like, I didn't even know how to explain it. And you know those things that are so embarrassing? You don't know how to confront them because you're like, it's like secondhand embarrassment. That's what I felt for him. He would tell me like, oh, I bought this watch, a watch that's like $20,000. Okay, this may sound really mean, but you don't even have 20,000 naira to your name. So where would you get $20,000 from? Those are the things that were kind of strange to me. And he had this issue, he had a thing with money. And one thing I've noticed about a lot of men in general who have a thing with money, most of them don't have money, especially Nigerian men. So these men are very critical of women who expect to be with a partner that has money or can take care of them or those kinds of things. They're very critical of those people. And it's like, we're not referring to you when we're talking about wanting to be with partners that will be able to, take care of us financially and things like that. We're not referring to you. You're not that person. So you don't have to be so critical of people who have a preference for something that's not you. But MM was very critical of those kinds of people. And I told him early on, of course I have things going for me. Of course I have my stream of income, but you kind of have to match that or do more, because I'm a go-getter. I expect you to be a go-getter too. And unfortunately, the first thing I said it in passing and left it at that, right? That was his talking point for criticizing me, suggesting that I'm selfish or greedy and those kinds of things. And it's like, first and foremost, sir, you're a placeholder. Why would you think that I was referring to you as the final destination? So When we first started talking, a little bit after I traveled to America, and I was there for a little while, and I was like, okay, well, I'm getting stuff all of my friends, I'd like to get something for you. And then he's like, oh, I like watches, but make sure that it's a watch that has a name. So in other words, make sure it's like a G-Shock or something. And I just laughed because at that point I said to myself, you're not getting anything. If someone says they want to get me a gift, I'm the type of person I'll say, oh wow, thank you. Anything you get is fine. That's proper basic home training. But this guy who's super critical of women who love mooching off of men was telling me I should get him a designer watch. How, who, what, where, why, what, right. Now, the first time we hung out, we went to a cafe and he spent like 1,200 Naira on me. And hey, more power to you if that's what you have, because a lot of times 1,200 is really all I have to treat myself. If that's what you have, fine. He kind of used those things as examples of like how I'm a terrible person because of my expectations. So this is when things get very interesting. Okay guys, he's a web developer. He was a web developer. And mind you, let's go back a little bit. I would go on his Twitter and he'd be saying stuff like, driving away in my whip, going here, traveling there. And I'm like, you are on the mainland in your mom's house. That's a lie. So let's backtrack a bit. I commissioned him to do my website. And initially he was gonna charge me an exorbitant price. And my spirits, the Holy Spirit was like, yeah, he's not worth that much. And really, looking back, I should have just given him like 5,000 Naira. So anyway, I commissioned him to do the site. He said, oh, I'm working on this, I'm doing this, I'm getting plugins, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, all of these things, right? When the time came for me to look at the website, I was like, this is missing. That is missing. This, and that is missing. You didn't do everything that we agreed on based on what I paid you. And he blew up, like he got angry, got defensive and all of those things. I said, fine, okay, you know what? I know that you have no training in this. I know that you didn't even go on YouTube to learn this craft. You went to the library and opened up an encyclopedia from 1985 and decided that's how you're gonna learn how to be a web developer. I understand that, but you either fix the things on my website or you give me my money back. So of course he didn't give me my money back, and of course, me being me, I lit him up. And that's kind of how things dwindled down between us, our talking or whatever the case may be. So let's define a baby boy. It's very different from a baby girl because the average baby boy, and I'm just speculating here, the average baby boy lacks ambition. He poses on social media. He does weird things like post videos of cars that he doesn't own on his WhatsApp status. I was watching a video recently, Toke Makinwa and Taymesan did a video, and she brought up a really good point. She's like, yeah, they go to the club at night and they sleep all day. And when they're at the club all night, they're holding on to one drink the entire night, but posting away on Instagram and Snapchat. So now that we've gotten that definition out of the way, let's talk about how to identify a baby boy. Okay, first and foremost, the first way to identify a baby boy is based on what he talks about. Does he talk a lot about his possessions, who he knows, who he's friends with? Is he friends with David and Ayo? Yeah, that's a sure sign. And when he tells you about the iPhone X that he has, or the car that he used to drive, or the estate that he lives in, that's number one. Number two, does he talk about his ex or women in general, or not even women, because most of these guys don't say women, they say girls. Does he talk about his ex or girls that he sees as hungry because they, for one reason or another, most cases it's this thing of ice cream and pizza. So he's critical of women or girls like that. Generally, he criticizes women of a certain sector, what he sees as a certain sector, as hungry. And he'll most likely throw in the fact that his ex was hungry or greedy or money hungry or took his money or asked him for too much, or he'll mention how much he spent. I spent over 5,000 Naira on that girl. Pay attention to how often he says he's at work or he's working, or does he work at all? Even if he works from home, what is he working on? If you take it to the point where you visit him at his house and he has work to do, take a scan at what the work is. If you see him doing work and his work is being on Twitter, being a misogynist, or trying to get on savage replies with a ridiculous tweet, then yeah, that's a sure indicator that mommy and daddy are sending him money and he's a baby boy. Girl, do your due diligence. Get on his Twitter, get on his Instagram. Don't ask him, what's your Instagram, what's your Twitter? You know his name, do your research, do your searching, especially his Twitter. What he tweets about, what he retweets will determine so much about him. Listen, the rubbish that he was tweeting, the rubbish that he was retweeting, my dear, my dear, it was evident that the guy was drunk. One thing, Instagram, yeah, you get information, you know, you see his pictures and stuff, but get on his Twitter. That's how you determine whether he's a baby boy, whether he's serious or he's not serious. My dear, read his tweets and his retweets. You'll determine so much. I mean, read my tweets and my retweets. You'll determine so much about me. Talk less of a baby boy. Okay, so here are a few questions to ask casually. Now, this is a thing. This is human nature. The more you show interest in someone's life, the more you get them talking about themselves, they're going to spill everything. So first question is, where do you work? Like, where's your office? Okay, cool. You work for yourself. Okay, what's your company's Instagram? And literally, in most cases, you'll determine whether he's lying by this. He tells you he works for himself. Okay, what's your company? is Whack LLC. Okay, let me search it on Instagram. Oh, well, we're not actually registered. You know, we do more consulting, more in person. The moment you hear the story moving like this, you already know that this one, he's just playing with you. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. Ask him, how many roommates do you have? Don't ask, do you have roommates? Do you live with your mom? How many roommates do you have? By default, he'll say something. He may realize, or as he's talking, he may backtrack. If he's trained in this art of being a baby boy, he may give you one story. But the moment he starts rambling on, you can generally determine that he's not it. Ask about his mom and his sisters. Listen to what he says about them. The average baby boy generally is close to his mom. If his mom is still present or his mom is present in his life, he's really close to her. He will say things like his mom is his wife, stuff like that. And of course, she's his wife and his sugar mommy because she's the one who gives him money, allowance every week. She's the one who gives him tea fare every week. Okay guys, so those are the ways to avoid baby boys. But I said, let me just do something. Let me just make this a little bit more interesting. Let's go onto MM's Twitter now. I haven't been on his Twitter in like a year plus, or a little over a year. Let's see what he tweets about now. Wow. Not much has changed, but I'm looking at his Twitter and I think he's found a new scam. I'll just leave it at that. His initial scam was that he was a web developer, but I think he's found something new to do, to scam people or make people think that he does something for a living. Wow. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps. I hope you took notes, okay? God forbid, let's just rebuke it. We rebuke any and every baby boy in our lives. Let's just avoid it at all costs. Also, as a disclaimer, because I'm sure some baby boys are gonna feel personally attacked and, you know, try to come for me. It's all in good humor, but this was actually my experience. And as much as possible, I want you guys to avoid having to waste your time the way I did with MM. Thank you so much for watching once again. I didn't mention subscribing until now, but please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.